Okay, so shalom. So yeah, I had a I had a family member in the hospital. Well, I have a family member in the hospital, but I got a little bit of good news today. Um, let's hope it stays that way. But this message is titled "The Teacher." It's just one of the messages that I had um, in alternative. This message is titled "The Teacher." Now, this message is not necessarily for um, this message is not necessarily for everybody. Okay, this message isn't really for everybody. This message is more so for the believers. It's more so leaning toward the believers. But anybody can listen to this message, of course, right? So just to give y'all FYI, just to give you all an understanding, you have a lot of teachers out here, right? Whether they be teachers, congregation leaders, politics, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter influencers, um, any type of social media mobile, whether they be uh, entertainers, whether they be churches, whether they be camps, whether they be organizations, whatever the case. I wanted to cover everything. So you have a lot of teachers out here now. As I said before, that this message isn't for everybody, and everybody isn't going to understand this message. This message is going to be about an hour. I'm in and out, right? So just to give you all a FYI, I'm going to read 3 riddles. This message is only going to consist of 3 riddles, okay? A riddle from Amos, a riddle from the Old Testament, Amos chapter 3, a riddle from the New Testament, Hebrews chapter 1, and a riddle from the scroll of Revelations, chapter 1. So 3 riddles. A riddle from Amos chapter 3, a riddle from Hebrews chapter 1, and a riddle from the first chapter of the scroll of Revelations. And as I said before, I want you all to have an understanding that this message, it isn't for everybody. Okay? So like the average Schmo Joe Flow, this message is not going to do anything for you because spiritual things have to be spiritually discerned. All right? So, as I said before, you have a lot of teachers, but there's really only one legit teacher. That's it. One teacher. Okay? And because it's only one teacher, we have to make sure that we're not being led by the blind. You know what I'm saying? So, even though there's a lot of teachers out here, there's a lot of blind teachers out here, a lot of people that are going to lead a lot of people to hell. A lot of people, they're going to lead a lot of people to a ditch. Okay? So, I want to start off with the first riddle. And this is an Old Testament riddle. I want to begin with the Old Testament riddle, right? I want to go to I want to go to the book of Amos, and I want to go to the 3rd chapter, and I want to read verses 7 and 8. So this is the book of Amos, the 3rd chapter, verses 7 and 8. Okay? Amos, chapter 3, verses 7 and 8. Surely, Yahuwah power, or surely the Lord God. Okay? It really should say Yahuwah Almighty. Surely, Yahuwah Almighty does nothing unless he reveals his secret, unless he reveals his secret to his servants, the prophets. Now, this is a riddle because a lot of people are trying to figure out, well, what's his secret? What is Yahuwah's secret? Yahuwah has many secrets, but he has an intimate secret. He has one intimate secret. He's got many secrets, but he has one intimate secret. His main secret. Okay? And so he has one intimate secret. He has one main secret, the main thing. And what he does is he reveals this secret to people whom he is close with, people whom he's close with. So a lot of people think that, quote unquote, y'all call him God. Y'all think that he can't have a personal friendship. Some people say that that's Christianity. If somebody says that you can't be a friend of God, then they're a very wicked person. If somebody mocks or laughs or they ridicule, and a lot of people do that by calling it Christianity. That's their way of ridiculing that truth. So let's see if the Creator let's see if it's possible or not possible if you can have a friendship with the Creator. So first, okay, let's go to Isaiah 41:8. Now, this isn't the best verse because there was a prior verse when he actually called Abraham a friend. But what is a friend? Let's do that real quick. Okay? Let's just go. We all know what a friend is, but some of us really don't. Let's just go to Let's just go to the dictionary real quick for a minute. Right? So, what is a friend, right? So, a friend is one attached to another by affection or esteem. One that is not hostile. So that's interesting. So anybody that's hostile toward you is definitely an enemy, right? One that is of the same nation, party, or group. So a friend can be somebody. It's supposed to be other black men. It's supposed to be other black women. But we know that in this day and time, we don't necessarily treat each other like friends, right? One that favors or promotes something. So a friend can be somebody that promotes something. So there are a few, I'm not going to name any names, but there are like 2 rap groups here in Philadelphia. We know that there's a rap group out of Yonkers, and there are some rap groups out of New York. And I can't really think of any in LA, but there are some rap groups that they promote one another. You have one person who's the rapper and the other one's not the rapper. He may be the enforcer or the protector, but he's a friend. And there's one guy there that he recently blew up. I'm not going to say any names, but he recently blew up across Instagram. And he's got a brother that's a hype man for him. They've been friends for a long time. And then we know we have other rap groups out of New York as well that show that same loyalty to one another, right? So someone that promotes your content is your friend. So if you have somebody that promotes your content, they're your friend. Now, I guess they don't necessarily have to promote it. It doesn't mean that they're not your friend, but for the most part, that shows that they're your friend because they're not hating on you, they're promoting you. Right? So, did not Christ promote Abraham? See, I don't even want to say it because we know Abraham promoted Christ. We know that Abraham promoted Yahuwah. This message is titled The Teacher, by the way. It may sound like I'm going to the left or to the right, but I'm not. So, a friend, I want to use that specific definition. A friend is somebody who promotes somebody. I should go to some scriptures where Yahuwah promoted Abraham. He did it on a numerous amount of occasions. Let me go to one occasion. I want to do it from the flip side. God promoting a man. Many people think that that's something that can't happen. But it did happen, right? It did happen. Let's go to Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 41, verse 8 and 9. Isaiah chapter 41, verses 8 and 9. And it says, "But you, Israel, are my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the descendants of Abraham, my friend." Then he's going to say, "You whom I have taken from the ends of the earth." He wants to promote his people. But right there, he just said he wants us all to be his friend. He says that we will be his friend if we do whatever he tells us to do. But right here, he just called Abraham his friend. Now, that's probably not the best verse. I don't want to. Some people think that you have to get every scripture according to the message in order to make the message. No, that's not necessarily true, especially when you're working with time. So understand that right here, it says that he called Abraham his friend. And he'd done it previously. That's why he said it again. But the God of heaven and earth promoted a man. He did it before. I'm not going to go to the verse, but I'm going to try to remember the verse. When he said, look unto Abraham and look unto Sarah. God even promoted a woman, Sarah, because Sarah obeyed Abraham. And Abraham obeyed Yahuwah even before the law of Moses. Now, he wants us to be his servants, but his desire is for one of us to become a friend. He would like for all his people to have a friendship with him. So many of you say that, well, it's not possible. What is prayer? No matter your religion, you should understand this question. When you pray, what is prayer? Prayer is intimacy with Elohim. That's what prayer is. Prayer is intimacy with God. When you pray, who are you talking to? You're not talking to nobody else but the Creator, I hope. So you got to keep that in mind. Now, it's very possible to be a friend of Yahuwah, in case none of you ever knew that. It's very possible. So, let's go back to the riddle, because I want to reiterate. Why? I want to reiterate because this message is already not for everybody. The average Joe Schmo is going to come to this message and they are not going to like it, understand it, comprehend it, believe it. So I want to just reiterate that this message is not for everybody. I also want to reiterate that I'm going to read 3 riddles. So this message is not a long message for sure, and it consists of 3 riddles. One from the Old Testament, another one from the New Testament, and the Scroll of Revelations. I'm separating the Scroll of Revelations from both New and Old Testament. We don't have to worry about why right now. I'll explain that later. We know that Revelations is part of the New Testament, but I'll go through that on a different occasion. So 3 riddles: riddle from Amos, a riddle from Hebrews, and a Scroll of Revelations. Now, right now, I'm reading the first riddle. You know that you can be a friend of God because I just proved it. So a friend promotes another friend. So Yahuwah promoted Abraham. on many occasions, even when he came in the flesh, Christ promoted Abraham. Christ promoted Abraham on a few accounts. Christ loved Abraham and called Abraham his friend. Now, the first riddle is Amos chapter 3, verses 7 and 8. So it says, surely Yahuwah Almighty does nothing. He doesn't even do anything. Unless what? He revealed, there's two words that I want you to pay attention to here. Reveals his secret. So reveal and secret to his servants, the prophets. So to help you out with the first verse, because this is Amos chapter 3, verses 7 and 8. So the 8th verse is going to help you out with the 7th verse. So what is his secret? Well, let's see if verse 8 doesn't answer that. The lion hath roared. Who will not fear? Yahuwah Almighty hath spoken. Who can but prophesy? So, who's the lion? So, even many of you who are not skilled at all, just by hearsay, word of mouth, many of you know that the lion is Christ. A lot of you know that just from hearing. You've done no research on it, but you already know that the Lion of Judah is Yahusha the Christ. It says the lion hath roared, meaning the lion has spoken, the lion has preached, the lion has taught. So who will not fear? So I know there's a lot of you out there who just don't fear Elohim. Many of you don't fear Elohim because we know this because of many of your actions. What's up there, player? Taz, I'm doing a message real quick. Let me hit you right back, good brother. All right, I'm going to hit you right back. So, the lion hath roared. Who will not fear? Yahuwah hath spoken. Who can but prophecy is a very, very important phrase. In fact, the magnitude of the phrase who cannot prophecy is what this whole message is based on. No man out there, none of you, can prophesy. None of you. None of you out there can prophesy, and I'm going to explain what I'm talking about. Hello? Okay, Mom. I'll take care of that, okay? Okay, yes, ma'am. I'll take care of that, okay? But let me call you back, all right, Mom? All right, love you. So he says, I only answer like 5 phone calls. My wife, my mother, my daughter, a close friend of mine, a good brother I grew up with, and at this point, the doctor, because I got a family member in the hospital who's in stable condition. Hallelujah. But who can but prophesy? So I'm going to read that again. I don't want to make this too complicated for you all. This message is titled The Teacher. So, as I said before, I'm going to reiterate it one last time. This message is not for everybody. A lot of you mainly simply aren't going to believe it. So, the first riddle is Amos 3 and 7. Surely the Lord Almighty, surely the Lord God, he does nothing, not without revealing his secret to his servants or his friends, the prophets. The lion has roared. See, they're equating the lion with the creator. That's the secret. You don't believe me? As this message goes on, I'll prove it. That's his secret. His secret is his identity. Remember, Abraham knew who he was. Abraham knew who he was. Abraham knew exactly who he was. Abraham knew who Yahuwah was. Abraham knew his identity. Abraham knew that Yahuwah was Christ. David knew that Yahuwah was Christ. I know that Yahuwah is Christ. So why is this message called The Teacher? Well, keep paying attention. So let's now go to the second riddle, which is Hebrews chapter 1, verse 1 and verse 2. This is the second riddle. We did one in the Old Testament. Now we're going to do a riddle in the New Testament. Hebrews chapter 1, verse 1 and 2. Hebrews chapter 1, verses 1 and verse 2. This is Paul speaking. Now we all know that Paul was a friend of Christ. Paul had a intimacy, a personal connection, a one-on-one. Paul was being taught one-on-one by Christ. Can a person be taught one-on-one by Christ? Only if they believe it's possible. And only if they union with Yahusha in trust. So Paul is going to say in Hebrews chapter 1, Paul wants to say long ago, at many times, So long ago, at many times, long ago, on many occasions, in many ways, long ago, at many times, in many ways, Elohim spoke to our fathers. So long ago, at many times, in many different ways, God spoke to the ancestors of us Negroes by other men, by his friends, by the prophets. How did he speak to the ancestors of us Negroes back in the day? He spoke to us by Jeremiah, by Isaiah, by Hosea, by Amos, by Moses, by Joshua, by Ezra, by Haggai, by Micaiah, by Daniel, by Jonah. He spoke to people, his people, black people, the nation of Israel. He spoke to us through other individual men. Why? Why does he use men? Because none of us are worthy for him to come down here and speak to face to face. Because we're all too wicked. So he got to come down here and he got to speak to us face. So he has to speak to us through people that are in union with him, that trust him. Certain people, certain men. Because all the rest of us, we don't understand. So the second riddle is explaining that long ago, on many occasions, in different ways, he spoke to Abraham and Moses face to face. He spoke to Daniel in a dream. He spoke to hello? 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 Celine. He spoke to Joshua as the angel or messenger Yahuwah. Right? So he spoke to our forefathers in the Old Testament in many different ways. Okay? But that was long ago. So We're in the New Testament now. This is a New Testament riddle. How did he speak to his people in the New Testament? But in these last days, he has spoken to us by his Son, whom he appointed heir to all things. So Christ is the inheritor of absolutely everything. And that's who he's speaking to us today by. Well, some of you say, well, Christ is no longer here. So how is he speaking to us through Christ? Because Christ is the Spirit also. Okay? Now, I just thought of a fourth riddle. I'll get that. Let me get that now while it's on my mind. A fourth riddle that I want to give y'all. I know it's somewhere in John. So, all right. So, I don't want to be forever with that, but listen, I found something similar to it, but I want y'all to understand what's going on here, right? So, in old days, he spoke to our ancestors by other men. Now, he still does that today. But it's a difference. So, in the Old Testament, you'll have verses like, and the word came to Ezekiel, and the word came to Isaiah, and the word came to Jeremiah. Well, the word is Christ. See, Christ has always been the teacher, but there's a big problem. The problem is that his people, Negroes, from one corner of this planet to the other corner of this planet, you disregard the teachings of Christ, and you disregard his true messengers. There's going to be judgment for this. And none of you don't fear that, and none of you don't believe it. I just want all of this to speed up. I'm confident at this point that I'm controlling my members good enough. I'm ready for y'all to bring all this down, man. There's nothing really here. A lot of you love this world. But that's because many of you don't have faith in the afterlife. And many of you know within yourselves that you're headed toward Sheol. You're headed toward Gehenna. So some of you are not in a rush. Especially a lot of you entertainers. A lot of you entertainers who are on the side of God, the devil. You know who you are. And not on the side of Yahuwah, the creator. So, Old Testament, he spoke to our people with individuals that are his people. He uses his people to communicate to his people. But when he came in the New Testament, he came down personally. Personally, he communicated, he conversed with his own people. He stood in the midst of his own people. And what did he do? He taught his own people. He taught them. A lot of people followed Christ, believe it or not. Christ had a large following. There were a lot of people that didn't want to follow him because they were afraid of what the other people would say, whom hated him. And a lot of people that were inside the synagogues, the churches, the camps, the congregations, they couldn't ride with him because of fear of being kicked out of the organizations. Then you would have other black folks, other Israelites who were in religion. And a lot of you in religion, you have the donkey face effect today, but you won't admit it. As long as you don't admit your folly and your foolishness, he's going to take your heart and harden your heart till the point you will never repent. And from that not repenting from your false gods, you're going to pay the ultimate price. So today, back when he was walking, which is 2,000 years ago, he spoke by his son, meaning he spoke himself. And today he's doing the same thing, but through the Spirit. He's still in the midst of his people, but by Spirit. It's harder today to be a believer than it was back then. Our ancestors were very, very stupid. How many of you all today equate to the foolishness and the stupidity of our ancestors then? They saw him. They had him personally and rebelled against him. That's why it says, but see, it's even harder today. Blessed are us who have not even seen him, who have never got the opportunity to see God in the flesh. but still believe. We are a very special breed. Very special breed. So, it says here, let's go to the third riddle. This is my favorite riddle of all the riddles. Why? Because this riddle, I just love this riddle. Okay? This is my best riddle right here. My favorite riddle in the whole Bible. But if you don't pay close attention to what I'm about to say, then you are going to, it's going to pass you right by, and you're going to get frustrated. You're going to say, I don't get it, I don't understand it. So this riddle is very important. And you need to listen to this riddle. You need to listen to it very carefully. Okay? So, this is Revelations, chapter 1, verse 1. Revelations, chapter 1, verse 1. Okay? Revelations, chapter 1, and verse 1. Now, if you don't pay close attention to this riddle, you're not going to get it. The revelation of Yahushua the Christ, which God gave him. So, I want to stop right there. So, the word revelation, right? The word revelation take the word revelation out, throw it, and take the, well, it's the same word, but, and take the word revealing. Take revelation out and put in revealing. Like you're revealing something. Like you're unveiling something. To uncover something. To make something known. Replace the words. I'm going to read it again. The revealing of Yahushua the Christ. The revealing of Yahushua the Christ. The unmasking. The showing of his true identity. The showing of the true identity of who? Of Yahushua. Who is he? Well, the revealing of Yahushua to Christ, which God gave him. So, how can somebody else give you a revelation of yourself? So, if I have a secret, how can any one of you reveal it? Unless I tell you. So, Christ has had a secret since the beginning of time. And this secret he only shared to his friends. He only let his friends know. Don't let nobody else know. That's the reason why a lot of you walk around here now not believing he is who he said he was. You'll never come to that truth. Because if you come to that truth, you will become a believer in the whole Bible. See, if you believe that, then you believe everything. What won't you believe if you believe that he is Elohim? What won't you believe? So, here's the riddle. The revelation of Yahushua the Christ, it's a riddle. This revelation, God gave him. God gave Christ a revelation, a message to give to his servants, God's servants. So God had servants, and he wanted these servants to know who his son was. God has a secret. He gave this secret to his son. It's a riddle. So that his son can give it to God's servants. That's what it just said there. The revelation of Yahushua the Christ, which Elohim gave him, which Elohim gave Christ, to do what? To show to his servants the things that must soon take place. But here's the punchline. But Christ didn't deliver the message personally. Well, he did, but pay attention. This riddle is going to say that Christ did not personally deliver the message. Because it says right here, Christ, he made it known by sending his angel to his servant John. So Elohim made it known. He got this message to John by sending his servant. Christ sent a servant. Christ sent a servant to John. But here's the twist. All throughout the scroll of Revelations, the man who's given John the revelation is Christ. This message is not for everybody. I am an authentic person that stays in my own lane. I'm teaching you something. But I'm ultimately not the teacher. It's Christ. Christ already gave me a format. Everybody that does the work of Christ, they have been given a format, which is the Bible. Some people, however, they twist the format, so you have to be careful. Let them alone. Disregard them. They are leaders of the blind. They be blind leaders. And they will only lead blind people, because people that can see won't follow dummies. Anybody out there on social media that's doing their own thing and not of Christ is a blind leader. Anybody in a camp, in a church, that's not doing their own thing, that's doing their own thing, twisting scriptures, or whatever the case, they're blind leaders. And if blind people listen to blind leaders, then they all fall. So this world has been given into the hand of the wicked. This world has been given to Satan. Can you imagine Satan standing over there? He got his hands out, and Christ said, here you go. Satan got the whole world in his hands. So this world is covered with darkness. Darkness meaning ignorance. And anybody that doesn't follow Christ in this world is going to perish. There are only two types of wisdom. Wisdom from Christ and wisdom of this world, which is wisdom of the devil. That's it. The revelation of Christ, which God gave him to show to his servants the things that must soon come, the things that must soon take place. He made it known by sending his angel to his servant John. He made it known by sending messenger Yahuwah, which is Christ. But it's him. I want to read something else to y'all real quick. So you got to understand, Christ is no longer down here with us. Once upon a time, he did walk amongst his people, and he did teach his people. Though he's not walking with us anymore in the flesh, he's still teaching us who? His friends. He's not teaching everybody. I need y'all to be very careful who y'all listening to in these days and times, because there's only one real teacher. So he's not here to speak to me personally as a man. But I have union with him through the Spirit, which a lot of people don't want to believe. And there are other messengers out there as well that have this union through the Spirit. It's at the point where many of you who think that these things are foolishness, I'm tired of you all watching the message. Just go ahead and listen to whoever else you want to listen to. I'm not here to tell you who to listen to and who not to listen to. You're on your own. Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. But if you're blind, and if you're not a sheep of Christ, then you're going to fall for anything. So Christ is going to say, this is John chapter 14, 18. John chapter 14 and 18. He says, I will not leave you comfortless. I will come to you. Yet a little while, and the world seeth me no more. But ye see me because I live. Ye shall live also. He's talking to his apostles. He's not talking to the whole nation of black people, but his apostles. Right here, Christ is talking to his friends. At that day ye shall know that I am in my Father, and ye in me, and I in you. He that hath my commandments, he that have the kingdom within them, within the mind, a kingdom mindset, which is the commandments written on the mind, which is people who automatically know the commandments. They have morals and integrity, and they already have a pure mind. Pure may be a strong word, because I don't have a pure mind. A pure mind would be a perfect mind. I don't have a perfect mind. But I'm trying to get as good as I possibly can. He that hath my commandments and keepeth them and guard them and care for the commandments, he it is that loveth me. So Christ says, you don't love me unless you wholeheartedly trying to keep my commandment. And he that loveth me shall be loved by my Father, and I will love him. And here it is, will manifest myself to him. Meaning he's going to reveal his secret. Christ's secret is that he's God. This is when he starts teaching you with the Spirit, molding you like clay so that you can become a better person and not a wicked, slanderous, jealous, cowardly person. So that you can, for once in your life, be a person of righteousness. So, why are the Psalms so important? Let's end this. Let's go to Psalms 119. Psalms 119. I'm going to start at verse 18. Psalms 119, verse 18. Listen very carefully. King David was a man who was after the mind of Christ. That is the true commandments. This is how you become a friend, and this is really the only legit way to be taught today. I'm not saying that there aren't trustworthy tongues out there other than mine, but everybody, damn near everybody, is after a dollar. Damn near everybody is after a dollar. And they don't tell the truth. They make it look good. They make it sound good. They got money backing them. But they're falsehood. Some of them have followers. But they're false. They're not messengers of Christ. Some of you think that there are rivals to messengers of Christ, but there isn't. I'm not telling none of y'all who to listen to and not to listen to. You're on your own. Work out your own salvation in fear and trembling. Why was the Psalms so important? The Psalms, people think, as I told you all before, the gospel did not start in the New Testament. The gospel never started in the New Testament. The gospel started, hell, that was gospel in the Garden of Eden. Gospel is good news. He told Adam that he would come and take him to paradise after a certain amount of time, no. But it still was good news. Gospel means good news. That's what it means. Research it. Whenever you hear the word gospel, it means good news. So I'm giving you all good news. I'm telling you that if you union with Christ, you're going to get the kingdom. But I also got bad news. If you neglect Christ, you're going to die the second death, which is the hellfire. And that's guaranteed. There's only one legit teacher in the whole world. Everybody can teach, but everybody is either leaning on their own understanding in religion, or you have people whom are in the Bible, but they twist the Bible for money gain, for gains of money. And if you get paid in any type of way, and I'm not talking about people donating, nothing wrong with that. But if there's anybody out there, any of you, who make a proclamation that you are a prophet or an apostle of Elohim, and you're getting paid by the government to do it, you're a liar. Because there's no way in hell that you can tell the complete truth getting paid to do it. It's impossible. I want y'all to listen to what David said right here. And this is going to show you how important the book of Psalms is, the scrolls of the Psalms. This is Psalms chapter 119, verse 18. And it says, this is David talking to Christ. Who is he talking to? David knew who he was talking to. David was a friend of Christ. And David knew who Christ was. He did. Psalms 119, verse 18. The first thing that I want you all to know that what David said was he said, open my eyes. Who is he talking to? He's talking to God. He said, open my eyes that I may see wondrous things from your law. What law is he talking about? Well, he's certainly talking about the law of Moses. But here's the twist, because a lot of people, what they don't understand about the law of Moses is that there were wondrous things within the law of Moses that a lot of people in the Old Testament could not discern because they didn't have the spirit to discern it. Spiritual things must be spiritually discerned. That's the only way that you can apply and really understand the law of Moses, not trying to stack yourself against the law of Moses, because you're not perfect and the law of Moses is perfect. So if you stack yourself against the law of Moses, you're going to fail because you're only a person. You're only a human being. The law of Moses is perfect, but you can't stack yourself against it. Okay? So David is going to say, show me wondrous things from your law. There were a lot of miracles being done in the Old Testament. And the reason why nobody on this planet, not just the Israelites, but the reason why that nobody on this planet believes in Elohim is because the miracles were not passed from generation to generation. We remember specific miracles like the splitting of the sea, and we remember, well, the flood wasn't a miracle necessarily. It was utter destruction and chaos, right? But we remember specific things, but how many miracles do we remember? There are miracles that are not written in the Bible that actually happened. But we don't know because they weren't passed down from generation to generation. That's why when Christ came on the scene, he said, had I not shown them the miracles, they would have not been guilty of sin. So it's about belief. It's about belief. When you believe and you trust, you union with Christ. And when you union with Christ, you are then molded by Christ because you become a friend. This is the real way to be taught. Okay? This is the real way to have understanding. And I told you all before that this message wasn't for everybody. But let me continue to read David because I want you to listen very carefully to what David is saying. David's not talking to any individual man. He's talking to Christ. He's talking to God. He says, open up my eyes that I may see wondrous things in your law. I am a stranger in this earth. Do not hide. He's asking Yahuwah, please do not, he's begging him, don't hide your commandments from me. But I thought David had a copy of the commandments. He certainly had a copy of the commandments. He had the Ark of the Covenant. He had the scroll of Moses. So did David tend to the scroll of Moses? He put it in the Ark of the Covenant. So why didn't David need the 10 Commandments? Because he automatically did what the law required. He didn't need the stone tablets. He was a walking commandment. his character was truly a righteous character. He didn't need to revert to the law. He was a law within himself. He was a friend of Yahuwah. He had union with Elohim. This is why he tells him, don't hide your commandments from me. My soul breaks with longing for your judgments at all times. My soul breaks. Remember what the scripture said? David was a man after the heart of Yahuwah. Well, heart and mind, it's not talking about the heart beating in your chest. David was a man after the mind of Yahuwah. He wanted to think like God. You understand? The only way to do that is to have a personal covenant with God. He said, for your judgments, he said, you rebuke the proud, the cursed, who stray from your commandments. So Elohim will rebuke every last one of you, Negroes, Caucasians, Arabs, Chinese, Japanese, Turkish, Ottawa, all of you people. He will rebuke you. He'll rebuke anybody that doesn't follow the commandments. But I just want to be honest. See, if you're an Israelite, you should focus. Because if you're not being chastised for your wickedness, then that means there is no love from the Most High toward you. If you seem like you're getting away with wickedness, then you are in great danger. You're not loved by God. He chastises those whom he loves. He chastises those whom are his friends. He's going to say, my flesh, he says, therefore, he says, you reject all those he says, you rebuke the proud and the cursed who stray away from your commandments. He says, remove from me reproach and contempt, for I have kept your testimonies. Princes also sit and speak against me, but your servant meditates on your statutes. Your testimonies are my delight and my counselors. The testimonies are the testimonies of God are delightful and is a counselor. When he split the Red Sea, one of God's testimonies was splitting the Red Sea. That's a testimony. It is a delight. And it's also my counselor, my teacher. I know that happened. There's proof at the ocean floor of the Red Sea. Chariots, armor, swords, skeletal remains of Pharaoh's army. And you can't go and get everything because it's too deep. They only know by sending probes to the probes down there to take pictures. Some artifacts were retrieved, but not by men, by machinery. This is a very important verse. See, the Bible tells us of many of the things that Yah did, that Christ did in the Old Testament. How he came down here and wrestled with Jacob, man to man. How he split the Red Sea. How he brought the flood. How he came and spoke as Captain Yahuwah to Joshua. How he appeared to many of our forefathers. These things are our counselors. There are many people about who claim to be teachers. But the real teacher is neglected and denied. Everybody want to listen to everything else. Everybody want to listen to the news. Everybody want to listen to all of these ministers, deacons, and pastors and bishops. Everybody want to listen to these leaders in religion. Everybody want to listen to the news. Everybody want to listen to the entertainers, the rappers. How they put OG rappers on a pedestal just because they're a billionaire now. It's all foolishness. But nobody wants to take counsel from God. Nobody wants to open up the Bible. Nobody wants to use the Old Testament as an example. And nobody wants to read the good news. He says, my soul clings to the dust. Revive me according to your word. I have declared my ways, and you answered me. Teach me your statutes. David is asking God to teach him his statutes. Is this crazy? Many of you think that this is crazy. This is the problem. You think it's insanity for somebody to ask Elohim to teach them his ways. You always got to go to a book or a manuscript. The Bible even. Though there's nothing wrong with the Bible because it's the word, but you should first be reaching out to him. This is what I'm talking about. Everybody should want to be a friend. I just proved to y'all that he called Abraham his friend. God promoted Abraham. So you mean to tell me that he can't have any other friends? Or it's not possible? It's all about the people that you can see. The people that are out here for their own glory. The people that get paid to teach the word. He's going to say, make me. David is asking Christ, make me understand your precepts. David is not in the Torah. He's not reading the law of Moses. He's going straight to the source. Make me comprehend your statutes. You think God not going to answer a prayer like that? If you ask for a car, he might not give it to you. You ask for a husband or a wife, he might not give it to you. You ask for $50 million, he might not give it to you. But you think if you come into him asking him for wisdom like Solomon did, he won't grant it to you? The New Testament says, if you lack wisdom, ask him. Then he says, so shall I meditate on your wondrous works. I will think about all the things that you did, all the stories that have been passed down from generation to generation. I will meditate on you talking to Moses and Abraham face to face. I'm going to meditate on that. I'm going to meditate on you splitting the Red Sea. I'm going to meditate on your wrath, how you destroyed the planet with a flood. I'm going to meditate on that. I'm going to constantly remind myself of your capabilities. Strengthen me according to your word. Remove the way of lying. Remove from me the way of lying. And grant me your law graciously. I have chosen the way of truth. Your judgments have I laid before me. Listen to what David is saying. I cling to your testimonies. O Lord, O Master, do not put me to shame. I will run the course of your commandments. This is all he's saying. I'm going to just skip a couple verses. Make me walk in the path of your commandments. Give me understanding, and I shall keep your law. He's asking, he says, listen, if you give me understanding, I keep your law. So I'm going to end this. Pretty much the whole chapter is like that. He's on his face, prostrating, or he's probably walking and singing. David was a jolly man in the precepts of Elohim. He had an intimacy with God. It's possible. Just like I said before, when all of you pray, what do you think that is? There's only one teacher in this world. One teacher. There's a lot of people that teach, but there's only one legit teacher. And many of you all need to understand that that teacher is not going to come from heaven and give you a one-on-one. You're not worthy. But you have to be very careful which one of the messengers are his messengers. You have to know whom are his messengers. People are not going to twist the scripture. People that's not going to talk for themselves. People that's not going to go into the Bible and lean on their own understanding and make lies out of the scriptures. You're on your own with that. Because everybody got to work out their salvation with fear and trembling. Everybody. Work out your salvation with fear and trembling. And if you don't fear yet, give it some time. Give it a little bit of time. I guarantee you that he's going to give everybody on this planet something to fear for. Just give it some time.